Yo, I'm Brendan, and I've never seen this feature before on an investing service. Acorns is offering to match the contributions you make to your kid's investing account. Today, I'll share the overview of what this is, the details and the fine print of what you need to know, and then finally, I'll share my opinions on it and if it's worth using or not so much. First off, this concept of an investing match from an outside brokerage, not from something like your 401k, is not necessarily new to us, but we've only really seen it before for our IRAs or for our brokerage accounts. So both Robinhood and WeBull have given us things like a 3% match, 3.5% match on our IRAs. Those same brokerage have also offered a deposit boosting match of around 1% to either your personal brokerage account or just your account in general. But thus far, no one has remembered the children. Never have I seen a match towards dedicated kids account like Acorns is doing now. So what exactly are they offering? Well, Acorns dedicated kids account is called Acorns Early. And what that is a UTMA, UGMA account for your kids. Don't worry about those abbreviations. You don't even know what that means. It's called a custodial account. And what that means is it's a brokerage account for your kids where you can invest in the stock market for them. And the custodial part just means that it's literally owned by the kid and also by you. You're sort of the custodian acting in the behalf of the kid in their best interest while they're still a minor. Then whenever the kid grows up, becomes an adult, then it becomes fully theirs. And that's the only kind of kid-focused investing account that's offered by Acorns. They don't let you open a 529. Unfortunately, I'd prefer that if you could, but as of right now, they don't give us that option. So if you wanted to set aside money for your kids and have a more open-ended purpose for it, besides just educational expenses or maybe a future transfer to an IRA, which you can do with the 529, that's why I love those, then a custodial account is a viable option for you. It's nice that it's in their name, and it's nice now that you can get free money for doing this. So how much money are we talking about? Well, as you can see here, Acorns is offering us a 1% match on our contributions. Invest for the kids in your life now because time goes fast. That's a very cheesy way of saying the truth, which is the earlier you invest, the more money the kid's going to get. The more money you put in there, the faster it grows, everything happens better for us, right? I guess it doesn't grow faster, but the faster it becomes a substantial thing in their life. And so they tell us about Acorns Early here in this section. Then this new little purple square tells us that if you have Acorns Gold, you get a 1% match. So we've got to be paying that top tier amount to be into Acorns Gold, which if I remember correctly is $12 a month. Then you unlock this ability to have this match. And the total match limit that you can have for this account, the most money you can get as a result of doing this is 1% of $7,000. That's the line that Acorns has drawn for this account. And one clarification here we need to know is that there's not a contribution limit for this kind of account. It's not like an IRA or a 401k or something else where you're limited on the amount you can put in every year. There's no limit. It's just that Acorns has chosen this as the cap. All right, back to the video. And what that equates to for us in normal terms is $70 per year. But it's just 1% of whatever you contribute. So if you only put in $1,000, we're only getting $10 back as the match. It's just 1% of what you're putting in up to that max. And typically my mantra is this: we take the free money. If we like the place it's going and we think the terms are okay, we take the free money. So we need to dive into this a little bit deeper. We need to sharpen the axe and get into the weeds to say, what are the terms of this? What's the fine print that we're talking about here? Because maybe it's prohibitively crappy. Maybe there's some reason that we don't want to do this. So let me tell you what they are. A piece of this axe just came off. It's a terrible sound. I'll stop doing that so you don't have to hear it. As I'm reading through the fine print of this match account and as I'm diving into it, so far everything seems logical, normal, totally fine. And then we get down to number 4, the holding period. I knew there had to be some kind of holding period because with any of these kinds of account matches, whenever you contribute something, there's typically a holding period where you have to leave the money stuck in that account for X amount of time. Otherwise, you forfeit the match. Like if I put money in today, took it out tomorrow, I'm not going to keep the match because the money's gone. This whole thing is a marketing exercise to try and get you to contribute more money and leave it there because that's how these companies make money. Just like any bank, the more you deposit money with them, the more money they make off of your money. So they want to incentivize you to leave it alone and keep it with them. And the holding period for this particular account, this custodial account with Acorns, is 4 years. And if they give us this money, they can take it away. Under what conditions can they take it? And what they say here in the fine print is that they're going to withdraw a proportional amount to whatever you withdraw. So if you had gotten a $10 match because you contributed that $1,000 this year, then you withdrew half of that for whatever reason, they'd also withdraw half of the match. So it's a proportional thing there. The other way that you can lose your match is if you downgrade your subscription. So by doing this, they're both locking us into having that contribution stay there for 4 years and having the subscription stay for 4 years. Now, the one good thing on the subscription side is that typically if you get in at a lower price and then someday in the future Acorns raises their price, historically you don't have to pay that bump up in price. Like right now I'm paying for Acorns Gold at $9 per month because that's where I was grandfathered in. There's still right now people paying $1 per month for the base level of Acorns because they were grandfathered in years ago. So I think that's like a nice moral upstanding thing that Acorns allows us to do. They're not just going to take us for a ride as time goes on to try and incentivize us to keep our benefits or keep our match and that kind of thing. But 4 years is a long time. If I remember correctly, the waiting period for you to keep your match with with Robinhood and with WeBull is shorter than that. I want to say Robinhood is 2 years and WeBull is 3 years. Could be wrong. Fact check me on my previous videos. I'll link those at the end of this one. But I think 4 years is quite a long time. Now, with that being said, is it actually a deal breaker for us to have our money locked away for 4 years? Let's be honest. What we're talking about here is investing the money. If we're talking about putting money in for 18 months and then yanking it back out, why are we investing it anyway? We could throw the money in a savings account and have the intention of using it for our kids. We could open some kind of joint savings account with them and have their name be on that too and put some money in there. I mean, in theory, it really shouldn't be something that holds us up, because when we're investing, we should be looking at it in at least a 5-year window of time, probably more like a decade minimum if we're going to actually invest this money and benefit from having it invested. And if my memory serves me right, any single 20-year span of the US stock market's history has resulted in positive returns. So if that somehow continues in the future, then we've got to wait 20 years to know that we're going to have a positive return. Acorns doesn't give us an indication of how that match money might be taxed. It's only $70 a year, so it's not going to make or break us anyway, but there is a chance that money is taxable, so you may not retain $70 net after taxes too, just so you know. So is it worth it? Is it worth doing? Well, in my opinion, if you're already using Acorns, and if you know that you already want to put money for your kid in a custodial account, which is that UTMA, UGMA nonsense, abbreviated language, in that case, I think it could be worth it. I have no problem paying for Acorns Gold because I think that there's enough value in what you get out of it. All the features that you get, the free will, the little bump in life insurance, all the features with banking and investing and early and all this stuff. I think it's a decent package for what you get, and it simplifies everything really well. But if you were already investing somewhere else, if you already were all set up, is it worth moving everything over to Acorns for $70 per year? Probably not going to make a huge difference. I mean, over time, if they kept this offer for a long time and you did it for 20 years because your kid is a baby right now and you're going to say, hey, we're going to max this thing out every year for the next 20 years, $7,000 a year across 20 years. We're going to put in 140 grand for our kid. And as a result, we're going to get an extra $1,400 for the kid. And that's worth it to us to have that extra $1,400. That math is for you to decide. But we also have to remember that if we're paying $12 a month to even access this, then we're in the whole $144 a year to get a $70 per year benefit. So it doesn't really make sense to just switch for this one particular feature. They're just sweetening the deal for anybody who's probably already using Acorns, who maybe hasn't started using the Acorns Early account yet. Maybe this pushes you over the edge and you say, it's worth it to get a little bit of extra money. Like, why not? How would I change this in the future if I really wanted to sweeten the deal and make it amazing? Frankly, I would keep the terms probably what they are. I would try and make a bigger bonus out of the deal, maybe a 2% bonus or a 3% bonus. I'd leave that 4-year holding period, but I would apply it to a 529 plan. 529s have changed a ton in the last 5 years. They're not just for educational expenses. Yeah, you can still use them for that, and it's cool that you can potentially get a tax break depending on where you live whenever you're contributing money to it. So it's good for kind of everybody along the way. But the big switch is that any unused, leftover, stagnant money in a kid's 529 plan can then be rolled over into a Roth IRA for them. So you give this kid who's 5 years old $50 a birthday until they become 20 years old or something like that. They decide not to go to college. They've got this extra money in there because it's been invested all along. It's growing all along. Now all of a sudden, little Johnny has $5,000 in a Roth IRA, and then he can use that for life. You know, the contributions to a Roth IRA can be withdrawn tax-free. You could leave it in there and let it grow and have him have essentially like a family-funded retirement pension account kind of thing that's sitting there. I mean, there's tons of amazing options for this. And really none of that is true in terms of the tax benefit side for a UTMA, UGMA custodial account. As far as I understand it, the kid would still get the benefits of long-term capital gains on that account, but paying 5 or 10 or 15% in taxes is still way more than paying $0 in taxes when it comes to a Roth IRA. So pretty cool deal there. The one caveat to the whole situation with my 529 that I just said that I love so much, we can roll it over, all that jazz. The final details of those rules of how those rollovers are going to work haven't actually been determined yet. So it's one little asterisk to my plan there. My perfect Acorns kids account situation is we don't actually know every single detail. Once we know, then I could really reliably say there's no reason to even use a custodial account. Just forget about it, move on, don't even think about it. This product is not worth using. Some very slight technicalities are still yet to be determined for the 529. So if you're like the friend I was talking to last week about the kind of kids accounts you can open, it's really a custodial or a 529. If you're really not sure about whether or not you want to do it for educational expenses, whether or not you want to deal with this rollover situation whenever they become an adult, and you just want to have an account that's in their name that people can just shovel money into, a custodial account is still a good option. Also, Acorns allows you to gift, I guess, directly into this account. In the section right here, receive gifts from anyone. Invite friends and family to give a gift that can grow. You share a link with them, allow anyone to contribute, and makes it really easy. Now, you can of course do that also with a 529, but I think this is a huge feature. If you've got an account for your kids and you're not setting this up to where people can just easily contribute 10, 15, 20 bucks in there, I think you're really missing out because the kid's going to benefit the most long-term from that. It's really nice to get better toys, and yet another thing that's going to be taken apart on the dinner table and make a big mess. The kid will love it. The parents won't. They'll smile on the day, but then long-term, when the child is 23 and they go, hey, mom and dad, any chance you could help me buy a house? Oh, nope. Sorry, guys. We spent all your money on birthday parties and toys when you were 6. If it was me, I would rather them say, yeah, we actually held back a little bit on the toys. We held back a little bit on Christmas. We held back a little bit on our lifestyle in general. And here's a Roth IRA for you with 10 grand in it. Do with it what you please. That's amazing. I mean, that's such an impactful gift that then they can remember and appreciate for the rest of their life. So I'll get off my soapbox. I will leave you be with that and link these 2 videos for you to watch next. If you're interested in the stock market, but it's still confusing to you, if you don't feel like you could explain it to your kids if they ask, like, what account did you open for me, mom and dad? Then you can check out my class that I have linked in the description. In one afternoon, you learn what you need to know about the stock market, and it's very reasonably priced if you ask me. Otherwise, thank you to my members for supporting me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.